Hey guys, welcome back to Critical Flick. Today I'm reviewing the special episode of Euphoria that has premiered on HBO Max. It'll be on HBO. There's going to precede the second season of the show. So right off the bat, what I have to say before you go in and watch this episode, if you really did enjoy the first season of Euphoria, you may be a little disappointed because you're expecting it to jump right into the second season. You have to know right away, this is not the second season of the show. The second season of the show was pushed back a little bit. So it's just an individual little special episode. I believe there's going to be multiple parts to this, but this one focuses specifically on Rue. And knowing all that, I think that this special really does something significant. It really dives into Rue and her relationship and how she's dealing with the events of the first season. While the beginning of this episode does show you Rue and Jules' relationship, of kind of her mind of how that could have played out, how that might have been, you get to see the aftermath of Jules leaving her behind. Now this episode takes place almost entirely in a diner, and it's a conversation back and forth between Rue and Ali, and you really get to dive into Rue's character more than I think we ever have in any of the episodes. And that's one of the things that, like I said, I think is special about this special episode, is you get to see more about her character. You get to dive even further into the nuances of what's going on in her mind and the struggles that she's dealing with, because you do see some flashes of that. There's some great dialogue in this episode. The show does have some really solid dialogue. It's one of the hallmarks of it. But being able to have this long-form conversation back and forth with someone who genuinely cares about her, someone who doesn't really have a ton of stake in what's happening in her interpersonal relationships, you really get a fleshed-out look at her character. Zendaya gives another phenomenal performance as Rue. It's a character she was born to play. She just really knocks it out of the park, being this really introverted character that has so much bubbling beneath the surface, who's really struggling with a lot of different things and wants to be a better person, wants to do better, but just can't seem to get past that. She falls into the same addictions, the same problems that she's had her entire life, and her trying to justify that, and you see the pain in her face, the pain in her trying to explain why she does what she does, and the mental health issues that she goes through, and having that pushback from Ali creates some really interesting conversation. And speaking of Ali, Coleman Domingo does a fantastic job playing this character. I felt like we didn't get a lot of him in the first season. There are some really good character moments specifically between these two characters, but being able to get almost an entire hour conversation of them getting to what causes their addiction, what is addiction, what makes you a good person, a bad person. There's a lot of big picture ideas going on here. While it is almost entirely just one long conversation in this episode, you get to dive into some really hard topics, whether it be race, social class, addiction, romance, all the things that, are big picture ideas, and you're seeing what the thoughts of these two characters are about them. And this episode continues Euphoria's ability to be a very telling representation of addiction and struggle and justification for addiction and what addicts go through. Whoever did the writing for the show, I know it's produced by A24 and put on by a lot of people on HBO. I think there's a lot of good content that comes from this. And I think a lot of people have this show that could maybe speak to them on a lot of different levels, and this is no exception. It's very drilled down. This episode's so specific to dealing with addiction and heartbreak and being a young person that's going through all these different issues that it could speak, like I said, very deeply to some people. And I personally think while this episode may not have been what people expected it to be or what people wanted it to be, if they think it's going to be a direct continuation of the first season jumping into a more episodic style, I do like that it feels like a long-form conversation. I think it sets up the groundwork for season 2 really well. We don't need to have 2 or 3 episodes going through what happened immediately after Jules leaving. You do get to see Rue's reaction, her struggles, what she's thinking. You have that mindset already going into the second season. I think that'll amplify the second season in a way. Having watched the special episodes that we're going to see, I think will make you understand and appreciate season 2 even more. But that being said, you do get to miss out on some of the quality Euphoria production and all that. Being shot during a pandemic, like I said, it's almost entirely in one scene between two characters. You don't get a lot of that crazy camera movement and everything you get that goes along with Euphoria, the intermoving parts of different relationships and connections. But having these two characters have a really strong, intricate conversation, I do think justifies creating this special episode. But that being said, I really did enjoy part 1 of the special episode. I can't wait to see what they do with episode 2, and I really cannot wait for the second season. Let me know what you thought about it. If you're someone who went into it and you were expecting kind of a season 2 premiere and you got this really long conversation that feels more like a featurette than an actual episode, I wonder what you think about it. I went into it knowing what it was, and I kind of really enjoyed it because I do enjoy these characters, and it's nice seeing these characters back on the screen, particularly Zendaya's Rue, which is just phenomenal. I'm glad that she won awards for that role. But just let me know what you think about it. And what are your predictions for season 2? What do you think is going to happen? Like I said when I reviewed the first season, this show constantly subverts expectations. It constantly throws you for a loop with where it's going to go regarding the different characters, and it has some very over-the-top moments. The drama, the grittiness, just the surrealness of the show really shines through, and I can't wait to see what they do. So again, thanks for watching. Remember to like and subscribe. See you guys next time.